So I'm going to go through my mini shelf, I would call it, my half a shelf of linear and abstract algebra books. I have been buying these books over the period of a long time. So I'll just briefly show which ones they are. Some of you guys have seen, some you haven't. And for some I'm going to do detailed videos just showing the tables of contents and comparing them and such. So the first one is Artan's abstract algebra book. That book is a graduate level book. This book is a graduate level book. It's actually the book that has been in my collection the longest of actually almost all of my math books. I bought this book almost 10 years ago. I tried to read it, and this is actually the book that kind of triggered the whole quest, because it was like, I keep saying my analogy of a ladder that, you know, where the first rung is like a foot over my head. And so I've done so much sense only to someday, still not here, to be able to read this book. Then I also found out about Jacobson's books. Oh, by the way, and I wanted to mention, if you have any comments about if I should talk more about how I collect math books, feel free to drop me a comment. I still haven't figured a way to make a video of that would be interesting. I've made answers to a couple of comments and said a few things, but if somebody wants a more structured discussion of that, feel free to drop me a line in the comments for this video, and I'll think about a good outline of how to lay it all out, because there is a method to my madness. So Jacobson, very good books. I almost thought of using them, but it's a bridge too far right now. Cardano's classic, The Rules of Algebra, really where a lot of the basis for what shall I call it, Galois theory really comes from. A classic by Atiyah on commutative algebra. Don't know how many years it'll take for me to understand it. Halmos's basic books, very difficult to read, horrible notation, ancient notation, but it's still Halmos. Naive set theory, Boolean algebra, Hilbert space, and spectral multiplicity. Then a couple of books that I was given by somebody, and they fit this particular shelf. Algebraic structures, then some graph theory, linear operators in Hilbert space. A lot of these Dover books, they're addictive because they're cheap, but a lot of times they have very limited use because of the notation. The notation kills a lot of these books. The classic dictionary of abstract algebra at the graduate level, Dummett and Foote. Not sure if that's the book that I will do for graduate level when I get there. Then of course Pinter, which is a Dover edition. And let me see if I can do this with one hand because I put it upside down. Yeah, another good book that I plan to use. I've already made a video of more. It's a University of Florida abstract algebra book. Then the classic for undergrads, which is Gallian. My decision for which book I'm going to use has come down to either Gallian or Hungerford. And I think Hungerford won, but it doesn't really matter. I think I might as well flip a coin. Then, of course, the Axler's Linear Algebra Done Right, which I plan to cover at some point later this year. Then a graduate level linear algebra book by Groib, and it's multilinear algebra second book. I don't know if I'll ever be able to understand these two books. They're written in a style and at a level that's just beyond me. The book that I'm currently using, Anton, the original Anton that I have from years ago, but it had the supplement with all the applications, and I figured I wanted to buy one for which I had the solutions manual. I did get the the Indian print of Huffman and Kuntz, but this book is photocopied and you can barely tell the notation. So I actually had to buy the real book, you know, the book with the US print, and it got very unlucky. Usually I get lucky with my old used books, and sometimes they have like very little handwriting or very little notes. This person really marked it up. So this book is very damaged, and even though it's still useful. Then of course the classic, and I got really lucky with my copy of Halmos because it is old print Springer, And yes, if anybody asks me to make a video about the details of these books, because I'm a collector, I can say the new printers for Springer make the books really cheap, which is great, but they're lower quality. You're older. If you find a mint, which this is, a mint older print Springer, man, those books are just jewels. Then, of course, good old Strang, which I'm sure I'm going to go through. I've already mentioned this book in a video, the classic deep learning book by one of the major people in deep learning. A great applied linear algebra book by Agarwal. Very useful, but it doesn't have the tooling that Anton has. It just doesn't. It's not designed for that. Then Lang, the reason why I have this book is because it was missent to me from a company when I was trying to buy this book. But I'm not a returning book kind of person. Since I'm a collector, I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind to have an edition that I don't have. So I kept it. This was actually my pool book when I go with my family to the neighborhood pool. So I've read a good bit of FIS, even though I've read it kind of at a pool, which is not the way you do a math book. So yeah, at some point I plan to make a video of these 3 books by Lang. I'm very surprised about how thick his algebra book is, and the critiques that I've read, or the comments that I've read about Lang's books, seem to be true from the little that I've seen, which is that he's really very tight with his language, and yeah, he's tight with his language, and so it's concise and to the point. So I like that. So at some point I plan to make a video about this. Also, somebody recommended Robman this book, and I bought it. I really like his style, very conversational, a lot like Abbott's Understanding Analysis. And so I went and I got me his baby abstract algebra book, and I just got this today. I was actually waiting for this book to make this video. Of course, your FIS theory of for linear algebra books, 3 different editions, one of them too many because I got it by mistake. And then Hungerford, I got the 3rd edition, and in the 3rd edition they had cut out a small chapter that I wanted on, I think it's on Boolean algebra. And so I actually bought this earlier edition for that section. It seems crazy, but that's what a collector does. And I also got his graduate algebra book as well, so I can have the set. Back to collectors. Then this is a Herstein abstract algebra. It looks like he passed away when they made all these editions after the first one. So I may want to collect the first one just to see what he wrote initially. So that's Herstein. And then these are modern print Springer books, very cheap, from Amazon. One on Galois theory problems, and the other one on mostly commutative algebra. And then some more Galois theory books, including what is supposed to be the classic by Stewart. So there you go. That's my linear and abstract algebra bookshelf.